Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're taking a deep, really structured look at a profoundly human and honestly deeply relatable text from Matthew 11. Today we're exploring that messy intersection of faith, crushing doubt, and how we process reality when our lives take a turn we literally never saw coming. We're drawing from a fantastic piece of source material titled Anchored in Truth, Jesus Responds to Doubt, and we'll be unpacking the story of John the Baptist. Now, historically, this is a guy known for his absolute, rock-solid certainty. But suddenly, he finds himself in a moment of profound questioning. It's a text that offers an absolute masterclass in how doubt is handled, not with anger, but with concrete evidence.
So moving into section 1, when expectations miss reality and the problem of unmet expectations.
Look, we've all faced that jarring, painful friction when our lives just do not align with what we firmly thought would happen, right? You do all the right things, you follow the right path, and yet, you end up somewhere you never ever intended to be. And that is exactly where we find John the Baptist in this narrative. He sends this incredibly vulnerable question to Jesus straight from a prison cell. He asks, "Are you the one who is to come, or should we expect someone else?" I mean, just put yourself right in the middle of his unexpected, painful reality for a second. This is the man who had confidently prepared the way for Jesus, who boldly announced his arrival to the masses. But now, he's locked away in a dungeon. The big revolution he probably expected hasn't overthrown his captors. His circumstances are incredibly bleak. And in the dark of that prison, he asks a question born purely out of unmet expectations. But here is where the source text highlights an incredibly reassuring takeaway. Even John struggled with doubt. It makes it absolutely clear that having moments of profound confusion, or, second-guessing yourself, it does not disqualify you. It doesn't magically erase your past convictions. The man who arguably had the strongest initial faith still hit a total brick wall of doubt when his reality became unrecognizable. So if you've ever felt that disconnect, the source material heavily emphasizes that you are in very good company. Doubt is framed here not as some massive moral failure, but just as a natural response to jarring circumstances. Which brings us to section 2, meeting doubt with evidence, and how Jesus actually responds to John. What's truly remarkable here is what doesn't happen. Jesus doesn't meet John's confusion with frustration. He doesn't shame him. He doesn't send back a message telling John he just needs to, try harder or have more faith. Instead, he points directly to empirical, concrete evidence, quoting, "The blind receive sight, the lame walk. Those who have leprosy are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is proclaimed to the poor." Notice what's missing there? There are no mystical riddles, no empty philosophical comfort, just measurable, undeniable actions that are happening right out in the open. So the absolutely crucial point is that God's kingdom, as the narrative shows us, is active and it's visible. Jesus invites John, and really by extension all of us, to simply look at what he has already done. He proves his identity not by demanding blind, unquestioning loyalty, but by pointing to healing, physical restoration, and fundamentally changed lives. The text reassures us that when we're lost in the weeds of our own confusion, looking back at the tangible, historical evidence of the good that has already been done can serve as our strongest anchor. Okay, section 3, surrendering our expectations and recognizing God's work. So after addressing John's disciples, Jesus turns and speaks to the broader crowd. And the text explains this fascinating psychological trap. It's crazy how easy it is to completely miss what's happening right in front of us simply because we assume we know what it should look like. The crowd was looking for a very specific type of leader, and because Jesus didn't fit that precise, pre-packaged mold, many just couldn't see the massive impact he was having. On one side, we have human expectations. We typically want solutions that are flashy, predictable, and fast. We want that huge cinematic rescue. But on the other side, we see God's reality. Actually, scratch that. It's more like God's method. It's often humble, quiet, and a whole lot slower than we'd like. We expect loud, earth-shattering miracles, but the source notes that the work being done was focused on humility and quietly restoring the marginalized. Think about it. If you're only looking for the flashy and fast, you are absolutely going to miss the humble and quiet. The source material pulls a really powerful definition out of this whole dynamic: spiritual maturity. It defines it as learning to trust God even when his methods or timing surprise you. True wisdom is proven by its fruit, right? By its long-term results. It's the ability to look at the slow, quiet work happening in the background and recognize its value, even when the process looks literally nothing like the fast, predictable outcome we initially sketched out in our minds.
Which leads us perfectly into section 4, living out the truth. Let's look at some practical steps for your faith.
Because really, how do we take this historical framework and actually apply it to our own daily friction? Well, the text provides some highly structured, actionable takeaways. Step 1. Bring your doubts honestly to God, no pretending. Just like John asking his question from prison, the text encourages absolute transparency. Step 2. Look back at ways God has worked in your life. Gather your own concrete evidence, just as Jesus pointed to the blind seeing. And step 3. Focus on what God is doing, not just what you don't understand. It's like a giant puzzle. It's about shifting your lens from the missing pieces to the pieces that are actively being put together right now. Building on that, the Thesaurus offers a second set of steps specifically designed to cultivate that spiritual maturity we just defined. Step 1 here is to actively surrender your expectations. Just acknowledge that your blueprint might not be the final architecture. Step 2, look for work in unexpected places. Stop looking exclusively for the flashy and fast. Start actively looking for the humble and quiet. And step 3, trust, even when the timing or methods surprise you. This is really all about allowing the process to unfold and choosing to see an active hand in your current circumstances, however unconventional they might be. The source material culminates in this single empowering takeaway statement drawn from its prayer and reflection section: Jesus is still working, even in doubt. It's such a warm, reassuring reminder that your confusion does not pause the reality of the good happening around you. Your inability to see the full picture right this very second doesn't mean the picture isn't being painted. The work continues, for sure, regardless of our fluctuating certainty. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to pose the direct reflection questions that the source material leaves us with. Take a real moment to honestly evaluate this for yourself. Where are you currently struggling with doubt or confusion? Where in your life have your expectations radically missed reality, leaving you feeling kind of like John the Baptist, stuck in a situation you didn't anticipate, wondering if you misread the signs entirely? And finally, I'm going to leave you with this lasting, provocative challenge from the text. Are you open to God working in ways that don't match your expectations? Are you willing to trade your desire for the flashy, predictable, and fast for something that might be quieter, slower, and ultimately way more profound? Keep looking for the quiet work in your own life. Thanks for joining me as we unpack this, and keep diving deep into the things that challenge you.